Okay, guys, this is my second video. I'm sitting there thinking about the last one I put up, and I'm like, why don't you just do post-abortive classes online, Melissa, so that you can help more people? So I think that's the direction I'm going in anyways, because really, ladies, I mean, I wouldn't even worry so much about the abortion until you get a relationship with Christ, and that is truly what is going to change your life. So, somebody said to me, I hate it how we think some sins are bigger than others. Well, murder is a pretty big sin, right? But before God, it's all the same. So, so this is kind of what I want to share. So, I talk about having a forced abortion. I had no idea what an abortion was. I think once I trusted my mother again after we went to Randy's house, I think I just trusted her, and I think he was told to pay $300 or something for the abortion, and I think I actually had to pay that up front, if I remember, $300. And again, I didn't even understand the whole thing. I really didn't. And so it wasn't until I had my firstborn son that, after the abortion, and I'm going to talk about abortion here because I really think women need the help. In my first post-abortive class, I had one other girl start to share her story, and we didn't really get very far. A lot of times when you're in one of those situations, you're just meeting someone, so you're not going to get into the details. But it was the second post-abortive class. There were about 6 other women, and we all got to talk about different situations. And when I look back, I think the healing process really came in, excuse me, with a couple things. One was with the group of women who I think we just got to process together. Honestly, I think that's what it was. And then the other thing was having one of the leaders say, put this in a bucket and put this in a bucket and don't even think about that. Okay? Put the whole situation with your family in another bucket and then just focus on what happened with you. And so that was good for boundaries, right? So, but yet family is such an intricate part of the whole thing, right? So, so as I talk about this, I think what I want to talk about is just how destructive abortion is. I mean, like I said, I went right into a relationship with sort of a relationship with Mike. It was very immature. It was just my rebellion. I was just escaping. I mean, I remember sneaking him into the school dances and dancing to Prince together. You got the look, and I remember, hanging out. I remember skipping school and having sex in the woods with Mike. So, I mean, that's how far out there I was. I was hitchhiking. I hitchhiked with him. There was just, I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff happening then. And then, and then after I broke up with him, I was dating my husband, which there was some now stability in my life after that. There was now, going to his house, going to his parents' house, seeing some good examples of homemaking, seeing a lot of different things that I didn't see before. He was very conservative, and I was way out there, very materialistic at that time. And again, I was trying to find my sense of love in food, clothes, money, anything that would make me feel good. I know a lot of women go to alcohol or drugs, but definitely don't want to do that. So as we talk about post-abortive stuff, I want to talk about, there was a time that I did drink a little bit, and that is when I was with one of my girlfriends, and we were dating. I got a message, and well, I say dating. I shouldn't say dating. I want to clarify that. Me and her were hanging out together, and she had a boyfriend, and her boyfriend actually preferred me over her. And so this was a really painful situation that I went through. I was drinking, and so, it was just drinking gets you in trouble, and that's why I don't really drink now, because of the whole situation that I had gone through with her, and our friendship broke up because of her boyfriend. So, I think this stuff is normal nowadays that girls go through. I mean, we were taking our clothes off in Dover, New Hampshire. Not everything, but we were, walking around. We were looking for trouble. We were looking to have some fun, not necessarily trouble, but fun. And just going and going and going until, I got totally used. And then that was my friendship of, geez, we were friends since childhood. This is my other friend, not my friend Chris, but my other friend I grew up with since childhood. And her boyfriend, like I said, it was awful. I mean, it just all fell apart with him. So anyways, I went through a lot of the worldly stuff, and then my husband and my boyfriend at the time we worked our relationship back out. And then, there was even a night of, I remember someone introduced me to this guy. And like I said, ladies, I was way out there, and this was after the abortion. And I really think the abortion really threw my life off. So, I was introduced to this guy, and, we had like a one night stand, and then it was like over. And so I had to get used over and over and over to find the right path. So then, let me see. Then my husband and my boyfriend at the time, we got married, and then I became pregnant. And once I became pregnant, then my life started to change again. So I was now becoming a mother, and I was like, okay, now I'm getting serious in life. I was now, let me see, what was I? I was pregnant at 21 and had him at 22. So now I was really settling into my life. And what changed me totally was God. And this is what I want to share. So before you even get into dealing with all this crazy stuff in your life, your rock is God. So someone at a pregnancy center had said God forgives as far as the east to the west. I took God's forgiveness before I even was saved, and I'm like, I knew nothing about God. And I actually got to witness to somebody about this too, who knew nothing about God. And then this person was saying he went to church, and then, the pastor was walking him through everything. Same thing with me. I mean, I didn't even know nothing about really anything about God. I knew there was a God there somewhere, but that's it. And so, and like I said, when I was a little girl, I heard about Jesus, but no church. So of course, I'm going to act like what most people act like, unbelievers act like, right? So I'm trying to find my way. I'm trying to date different guys, go through different experiences to try to figure out my way. Unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way many times. And then I went with let me see. No, wait a minute. That was the detective who was interested in me. I did not date him. I just didn't want to date him. And I kept talking about my husband, my boyfriend at the time, Ben. So I knew I was still in love with him and didn't want to date. So, let me think. So once I got saved, my whole life turned around, and that was after my firstborn son. So I had my firstborn son, but before I had him, I was pregnant with him, and this is the story I share. I was pregnant with him, and when the pregnancy center said this to me, I was like, oh my goodness, okay, God forgives me, so I got to forgive myself. And then I had broken down and cried on the couch. I mean, I really hit rock bottom, and I asked God to forgive me, and I took all the blame because, I felt like it was all my fault at the time, which is part of post-traumatic stress. And I asked God to help me, and He did. He did, because after I had my firstborn son, I was in the hospital 3 days after having him, and I was on cloud 9. I felt like I was needed. I had purpose in my life now. I was wanted. So I felt totally happy having my firstborn son. And then someone invited me to church. So this was my husband's grandmother, and if anything came out of my marriage besides my son's, it was my salvation. Because of her, Ruth, she invited me to church, and I heard the gospel and got saved. So second time I got saved. Actually, she invited me, and then she didn't like the church. So I mean, I can't just say it was her because if I followed her after, I wouldn't have gotten saved. So it's kind of weird. She introduced me to church, but it was really God because I chose to go back to church. I was like, I don't have a problem with this church. I'm going back. I'm making my own decision. And I went back and I heard the gospel and got saved. I heard John 3:16. My eyes were open. And so from there, I chose to change my life around. And it wasn't until years later, Bible studies, years later of mentorship. I had a renowned woman mentor me. I had another woman mentor me, another woman mentor me. And I didn't even talk about abortion. I never talked about abortion for years. I just lived with it. And then once, what was it, 2017, I heard a woman get up and talk about stuff she went through in her life in church. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll take another class because this is what I do. I take classes and Bible studies and MOPS and all kinds of classes so that I can learn. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll take one about this. So when I went to take a post-abortive class, I'm like, oh, yeah, it might be good to kind of talk to somebody about that, right? I went back to a pregnancy center. I did not even think I would even be going this deep with my life. So I went there, and the abortion is just a layer. Just talking about the abortion is just a problem of a root problem. There was something there that was really wrong, and abortion is just an outcome. It's just an outcome of wrong thinking and wrong ways of living, right? So I had already been grounded in Christ because I took a Grace for the Wounded group at a church. So that already grounded me in Christ pretty well. And so, yeah, I mean, that's where I really found intimacy with Christ. So that was really helpful before I even took this post-abortive class. So don't beat yourself up. Before you even take a post-abortive class, I would honestly recommend that you learn about God first. Because otherwise, when you are going through this crap, it is a lot to take in. It is a lot to see. It's a lot to realize, your parents, betrayed you. They looked out for themselves. It's a lot to deal with. So you really need a strong foundation. So, yeah, I think it's important if you are going to heal from abortion to have other women around you. I mean, I am really good now. I got through all that when my husband was divorcing me. So I was busy with that during the divorce of his tantrum. So, get through that, ladies. Get through that. I think, as I went through so much, now it's just helping other women get through it. Get through the stuff in your life that led to the abortion, because it's not about the abortion. It's not. It's other things you have been through, whether that's, low standards of, living, or just wrong choices, or wrong boyfriends, or being tricked, or not communicating, not having support. That is the big thing. So when we talk about abortion, I really don't even think it's so much the abortion. And obviously, abortion is something that, how do I say this? It is something that is obviously awful. But when you have so much garbage piled on you, usually before the abortion, you can't even process the abortion. You can't even process really what is going on with the abortion. So usually girls who have abortions come from a place of already having a lot of trauma or bad influence or something. It's not like a person who was like, how do I say this? I was brought up a certain way, but it was the family that really had the trauma and the garbage that is why I went through an abortion. So it's usually not like, oh, this is a really healthy family and we're just going to go do an abortion and we're going to know the truth of what is really happening. No, it's usually people who don't understand. They just feel like abortion's a band-aid. It's just a quick way to get rid of a problem. And that is the problem with abortion, is it's not really given the weight it really is. It's really killing a child. So it's not always the root problem is what we want to get to. So it's not the abortion that is the root problem. It is all the other stuff that would cause someone to put that on someone to go get an abortion. So we want to, it's, we want to give that weight, abortion. We want to give it weight and talk about, really what it was and really how to overcome that. And the way to overcome that is to get back in there and get in there and dig in and say, why was I dating this guy? Why did I think, um, why did I have a low view of marriage? I mean, obviously, me dating my first boyfriend was innocent, but afterwards, why did, when my boyfriend then broke up with me, why did I deal with hurt in that way? Why did I just think, okay, rebound, why do we do that, instead of being like, okay, I mean, obviously, my boyfriend at the time was being a jerk to me. And my husband is still being a jerk to me, my ex-husband. But what would cause you to go do that, after? What would cause you to just be like, I don't care anymore. I just don't care. Nothing's going right in life, and I'm just going to date other guys. So the difference is, I mean, now, like where my husband actually divorced me, I don't look at things the same way at all. I have no desire to date another guy. I have no desire. I see men differently, where before I used to get my worth from men. Now I just kind of see myself as like, there's not a guy really worthy out there of me that I have ever met so far. So it's really a different ball game now. And I think a lot of that is because my self-worth went up because I healed from that abortion. So yeah, send me a message, send me stuff if you are going through stuff. Maybe I will start up a Bible study for post-abortive care. I don't know. I am going to look into the sex trafficking, because when you don't even know you have the right to say no to a doctor, or you have these rights, it's really important that girls do know that they can say no to a doctor.